There is a moment in every campaign where your players look at you, really look at you, and they realize you're not their friend, you're the thing that stands between them and their character's survival. Today, I want to tell you about the time that I made my players sit down, pass a gun around the table, and quick disclaimer, before we dive in, this story involves some uncomfortable themes, drug violence, psychological horror, and a scenario involving a death game. Nothing graphic, but if these topics aren't for you, your discretion is advised. Greetings, adventurers, travelers, and fellow keepers of the lake. How are you all doing? Welcome back. Today, I'm going to tell you about the time that I made my players play Russian roulette at the table. For those who don't know, I've been playtesting Redmark for a while now. It's a modern psychological game that I've been developing with a friend, something in vein of Cult and Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu, and a bit of Clive Barker's particular brand of passion and nightmares. So a bit of context. Redmark is set in 2055 in a city called Margum. It's not really cyberpunk, but big chrome spires still dominate the scenery. It's hyper-modern, which means technology advanced, but the world stayed more or less the way we know it today. It's not like Lovecraftian horror, more like feeling of wrongness about the ordinary life. I think Stephen King put it really good. It's the feeling of dread. And dread is the feeling of coming home to find out that everything inside was replaced with its identical copy. So the campaign I want to tell you about involves two factions that my players kind of got entangled with. One is Contra Margum. It is a decentralized hacking collective that operates almost like a religion. They baptize new members through sensory deprivation chambers and simulate different kinds of death in this virtual reality space. And my players had aligned with them for reasons. So Contra Margum had a job for the party. Simple enough on paper: infiltrate a luxury hotel, retrieve some data from the basement, and get out. That's where you need to meet the Toads. It is also a decentralized darknet collective that trades in explicit entertainment. Although they are trafficking people and they have a bunch of dark web stores similar to Silk Road of today. The Toads own this huge hotel franchise, the White Lion. It's a beautiful place from the outside, glass and marble married in this European-looking architecture, lined with golden facades and curly balconies. Now, before I tell you what happened in that hotel, you need to understand one last thing about this particular campaign. I'm aware that a lot of you already heard this a ton of time in every Redmark video I make, but this video needs context too. So earlier in this campaign, they encountered something called the worm. It's a parasite that burrows into a host, and the person carrying the worm can rewind time. You can find out how they got to this worm in my heist video. I will link it somewhere. Again, I'm pointing everywhere. When they do use the worm to rewind time, they lose a lot of sanity and potentially go insane. And the worm jumps to another character. So yes, technically, as long as they are careful, the party is almost unkillable, but the catch is that they don't really control how far back in time they go. They don't know how much of their sanity they're gonna lose. This is all rolled for, so using the worm is kind of risky and most of the time their last resort. With all that out of the way, we can finally jump into the story. Contra Margum gives the party false identities, wealthy personas, those kind of people that are known to be invited to exclusive events at exclusive hotels. What did the hackers do with the real owners of these identities? Well, I don't know. Maybe they're just dead, maybe they're plugged into a server, or maybe they're fake people fabricated to seem like they exist online, but they don't. No one knows. The job is simple. Get inside, blend in, gather intel on the organization and its guests, and find a way into the basement to retrieve whatever Contra Margum needs. The characters arrive at the hotel under their fake names in a limo. They are escorted to a private room to leave their stuff and then to the filming room. It's a real filming room. Motorized cameras on gimbaled arms. Professional lighting is rigged and pointing to this long, beautiful table covered in fruit and wine and drugs and things I won't describe for YouTube's sake. Other guests are already seated, all wearing masks, and characters realize very quickly that they are also guests. Yeah, no one told them what type of event this is. They will not be observers here, they will be participants.
Ladies and gentlemen, benefactors, believers, welcome to the Battle of Egos. You're here because you have more than most, more wealth, more power, more of everything that should make you feel alive. Yet here you sit, bored out of your mind, numb and desperate for something that money can't buy. Tonight, we offer you that something. The only currency that truly matters, risk. The rules are simple. A revolver will be passed around the table, each of you will press it to your temple and pull the trigger. If you survive, you remain in the game. If you do not, your assets will be distributed amongst those who do. Any player may at any time request to leave. If the majority agrees, the game ends. If you request to leave and the majority refuses, you surrender a substantial portion of your wealth for the privilege of your cowardice. The game continues until there is no person left alive, or until everyone agrees that they had enough. And all of this is being broadcasted live to the audience who paid more than you can imagine to watch you gamble with your lives.
In real Russian roulette, you know your odds. 1 bullet, 6 chambers, and you can do the math. Where here, you can see the barrels, so the traditional game doesn't really make sense. No one knows what the odds are then, because every time you play, you eject the barrel, put 1 dart in, spin, put it back, and point to your head. So I really want you to understand what the atmosphere was in the room when I first demonstrated this. So I cock the pistol, spin the barrel, point to my head, and as I shoot, I explode one of these. When that went off, the room filled with the smell of burning gunpowder, and my players froze. The game begins, the gun passes around the table, click, click, click. One of my players goes down, the gun passes to the next player, and that's when they realize, with horror, that the particular player that is carrying the gun now also carries the worm. If she dies, the worm dies too. And sure, you will ask, why don't they use the worm right away? But that is because they don't know how back and how much the timeline will change. But of course, they couldn't keep playing forever. So after a couple of very stressful rounds and a couple of PCs described that in graphic detail, they made a call and activated the worm. Time rewinded, they found themselves back at the hotel entrance. Same false identities, same invitation, same terrible knowledge of what was waiting for them. Except now they knew the layout. This time, one of the wealthy personas started feeling ill. Very public and very dramatically, she started fainting, taking things like the tablecloth or whatever it's called from the table, things falling down, plates everywhere. And the Toads couldn't force a sick VIP to play immediately, so they've given a hotel room to her and her accomplices to recover. Now they're inside this room, still under contract, but they're not at the table yet. The Toads are expecting them to honor their agreement sooner or later, but for now, they gave them some breathing room. And they call room service. They want hot water, towels, something to eat, some meds, or like pad or whatever. As one guard goes to fetch all of that, 2 women of the party decide to strip naked and wait for the guard delivering those supplies. When the guard walked in and found 2 beautiful, naked, clearly wealthy women waiting for him, his brain short-circuited. They shot him through a pillow to muffle the sound, spilled hot water on the guy in front of the room, and used pretty much every object they found in the room to slaughter all the guards and reach the basement with minimal shooting. I'm pretty sure they even managed to kill 1 guard with a bowl of fruit. When they reached the basement and retrieved what they needed, that is a moment when the alarm went off. The story of their escape, well, that is something for another video. So, if you enjoyed this story and want to hear what happened in that one, you can subscribe. Click all the buttons down there, it really helps the channel. If you want to really learn more and talk with me about the game, or share your own stories, talk about anything really, you can check our Discord that is also in the description. I hope to see you in the next one, but until then, I bid you
farewell, keepers.